Busch Gardens versus Busch Gardens. Which one is the best? Find out in this video. Busch Gardens is a semi-destination theme park chain started by Anheuser-Busch, yes, the beer company. But now it's operated by United Parks and Resorts, which also operates parks like SeaWorld and Sesame Place. Currently, there are two Busch Gardens parks, one in Tampa, Florida that opened in 1959 and has an African theme, and another in Williamsburg, Virginia that opened in 1975 and has a European theme. Both parks have a solid collection of roller coasters and are highly acclaimed by enthusiasts. But which one is better? Let's figure it out by comparing. Now this is a bit weird because Busch Gardens Tampa has annual passes and Busch Gardens Williamsburg has memberships, but I'm just gonna assume they are the same thing. So as of me writing this script, a daily ticket for Busch Gardens Williamsburg is $79.99 and a membership is $273. Now for Tampa, a daily ticket is $99 and for an annual pass it's $234. So they're pretty even, but Tampa is slightly cheaper. But pro tip, if you live anywhere near San Antonio, you can get a SeaWorld San Antonio Platinum Pass for $200 and get access to Busch Gardens and all 11 United Parks. But going back to cost, I'm gonna give the point to Tampa for being slightly cheaper. Atmosphere is definitely Busch Gardens' strong suit. Both parks are absolutely gorgeous, with Williamsburg even claiming they are the most beautiful park in the world. I wouldn't stretch it that far, but they are definitely both beautiful parks. Tampa has the aforementioned African theme, and it's very well done, with lots of cool buildings to look at while you're walking around, with some animals scattered around. Also, a lot of the coasters travel over pathways, achieving quite a bit of kinetic energy. And speaking of coasters, they all have beautiful color schemes that fit in perfectly, except Montu, which has bright yellow supports that stick out like a sore thumb. Plus, some coasters also had fake supports, which I thought was a hilarious small detail. Moving on to Williamsburg, this park also has really nice buildings, but I don't think they're better than Tampa's. But one thing that is better than Tampa is the location. Unlike Tampa, where it sits on a giant city block, Williamsburg has this beautiful spot with lots of trees. So the park is very shady, which I love in a theme park, especially when it's hot. It also has a river running through the park, creating this iconic view. I also love how this park has some terrain, making the park layout very interesting. So overall, both parks are very strong in this department, but I could see it going either way if you ask somebody which one is better. But for me personally, Williamsburg is by far better. So, point to Williamsburg. Now on to probably the most important thing, rides. And Busch Gardens also exceeds in this department too, especially for roller coasters. They both have similar lineups, with them both having world-class B&M inverts with Montu at Tampa and Alpengeist at Williamsburg. And I think I prefer Alpengeist. They also both have small B&M inverts with Phoenix Rising at Tampa and Big Bad Wolf, The Wolf's Revenge at Williamsburg. And again, I think I prefer Big Bad Wolf at Williamsburg. They also both have massive B&M dive coasters with SheiKra at Tampa and Griffin at Williamsburg. And again, I think I prefer the Williamsburg version. Also, they both have the same kiddie coaster and they both have Skyrocket 2s. They also both have Family Thrill launch coasters with Cheetah Hunt at Tampa and Verbolten at Williamsburg. And again, I prefer the Williamsburg version. And for standout coasters, Tampa has Iron Gwazi, a RMC Hyper Hybrid, which is one of the best coasters in the world. But again, I prefer Williamsburg's standout coaster, which is Pantheon, a Intamin Blitz coaster, which is just absolutely amazing. And Williamsburg also has an extra hyper, which is kinda cool. So overall, Williamsburg has the better coaster collection, but for non-coasters, Tampa is the clear winner, with the craziest drop tower ever, Falcon's Fury. They also have a massive Scream and Swing with Serengeti Flyer, and the best theme park train ever built. But I'm still gonna give the point to Williamsburg because the coasters are way more important. This is another category where Williamsburg is gonna win, because Busch Gardens Tampa is notorious for bad operations. Like one train ops on a lot of rides and 5-minute dispatches on Iron Gwazi. On the other hand, I thought Busch Gardens Williamsburg had average operations. Nothing that really impressed me except Griffin's team, which was absolutely amazing. But at no point did I ever think they were slow. Point to Williamsburg. I'm probably not the most qualified to talk about food because I only had a single food item, which was a $1 hot dog at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And I have to say it's very impressive to find a $1 hot dog anywhere, let alone a theme park. But I don't think a hot dog at that price point serves to the quality of the rest of the food. But I have to say, every time I walked by the Marco Polo Marketplace in the Italy section at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, I was very tempted to get spaghetti. It looked so good, but I don't think I can say the same thing for any of the food at Busch Gardens Tampa because I didn't have any food at Busch Gardens Tampa, nor did I want any food at Busch Gardens Tampa. So, point to Busch Gardens Williamsburg. So I haven't bought any merch at Busch Gardens, but I have walked around the gift shops a little bit. And I remember Williamsburg had a really cool puzzle, but that's about it. On the other hand, Tampa had a bunch of cool stuff like the classic Iron Gwazi t-shirt, some Busch Gardens hoodies, and probably one of the best pieces of merch I've ever seen, which was a Lego model of Iron Gwazi's train. Like, look how cool this is. If only it was real Lego. But anyway, Busch Gardens Tampa for sure gets the point. And with that, we are done comparing with a final score of 2-4. Honestly, this actually could have gone both ways. Both parks are super strong, and deciding which one is better was very hard. It definitely just comes down to personal preference, and I could definitely see it going both ways for anybody. But personally, I prefer Busch Gardens Williamsburg for all the reasons stated earlier. But which Busch Gardens is your favorite? Do you agree that Busch Gardens Williamsburg is the best Busch Gardens, or do you like Tampa? Leave a comment below, I would love to hear. And if you like this style of video, please consider watching my Six Flags vs. Cedar Fair video, or the Fun Spot one. But that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and coaster it. Bye!